Again, just thank you so much for coming today. My name is Stephanie DiDonato, and I am a marketing content specialist at Concordia Publishing House. And I am here today to talk to you about how to engage parents with Sunday school. This is an extremely important topic. We know that, if we can engage our parents with their students' faith, then we know, one, it makes our job easier as teachers or pastors or anyone, in the education area. And two, it really helps to foster those kids' learning for life. So with their faith, and that's really our main goal here. Um, so that's what we're going to be talking about today, and hopefully you will get some fun ideas and ways that you can help engage your parents with Sunday school. And if you do have any questions, I will take some questions at the end of this webinar. And also, just so you know, if for some reason you have to leave the webinar or you're wanting to share with friends or with anyone else on your team, I am recording this, and we will be posting that to YouTube and sending out a link later. So without further ado, let's continue. All right, sorry about that. All right, so the first thing here we are going to talk about is listening. And I think that listening is probably one of the most important things that you can do, which is why I have it first here, to engage your parents with Sunday school. Listening is extremely important because you want to be able to listen to what your parents are wanting, listen to what they're wanting to hear or what they're wanting to get out of Sunday school for their children, listen to what their needs are, listen to basically everything. I mean, listening is first and foremost in so many aspects of our life, including family, church, everything else. And it just makes sense that it's also at the forefront of engaging with our parents for Sunday school. So with that, what can we do? Ask parents what they'd like to see, hear, and receive, instead of just giving parents some things, how we need to make sure that they are actually receiving and hearing and seeing everything that they want to hear. What that means, though, is basically we want to make sure that they're getting the information and they're getting the products and papers and things like that that are actually going to help them further their faith for their children. So how can we do that? Well, oh, I'm sorry about that. Also, not all parents want to receive information in the same way, so they're not all wanting to communicate in the same way. And two, not all parents want to receive the same type of information. So that's why it's really important, because if we can foster to what these parents are actually wanting, what they are wanting, and the way that's going to be best for them, then it's going to make our jobs easier to teach those little ones and to make sure that they are engaging with their students or with their own children. So what can we do? Well, we can send a survey. I know this might sound a little odd, but I actually think this is probably one of the best ways that we can get this information back and listen to our parents. Why? One, it's easy. Surveys are a great way to get information quickly from a big group of people. Two, it's easy for us to create. They really are so easy these days. There's so many different places that you can go online and create these surveys, and you can, again, send them out to a multitude of people, and you can ask all the questions that you need. Something else I think that is great about these surveys is that all the information then is compiled for you in an easy to read table or file or PDF, whatever it may be. But what's nice about that is, one, you can look back on it throughout time. It's not something you just have, on your piece of paper that one day, but it's something you can look at 6 months from now. And two, it just makes all the answers are all together in one place. So it really makes it nice and easy for you to see. So some questions that you could actually ask are, like, what is your preferred medium of communication, whether that be text, email, face-to-face, phone call. Not every parent is going to want it the same way. I myself am a little bit older parent, so I don't mind, the face-to-face. Of course, I like the email, but the younger generation is definitely going to want something, or not definitely, I should say, possibly want something that's going to be a little quicker, something like a text. That may be their preferred medium of communication. So we want to make sure that we are communicating in the way that they want. Something else you could ask is, how often do your children attend Sunday school, or how often do you pray with your children at home? These are great questions to ask, because it really gives you a better understanding of your students, their home life, what their parents are like. So it can really actually it can increase your knowledge on how to teach to these children, and again, how to engage with their parents. Something else, that you can just go ahead and directly ask is, what is one thing you would like to receive about Sunday school or see about Sunday school? Sometimes it's best to just ask a direct question like that and get all your answers back and compile them and see, what stands out. So definitely, those are just a few ideas that you could ask. But what else could you do? Here are some of the different online surveys. We've got SurveyMonkey, Typeform, and Google Docs. So again, these are all free. They're very easy to use and very great to get some great answers back from you. All right, something else you could do though is hold a brief meeting. That's a great way to listen to parents. You can get them all into one room. It might just be something brief that you do before or after school. And again, just asking some of these same questions. But what's nice about having this in person is that sometimes the parents can bounce ideas off of one another. So one parent may say, oh, I like to receive information this way. Well, that might actually get another parent thinking, yeah, you're right, I do enjoy getting it that way as well. So holding a brief meeting is a great, easy way to listen to parents, to understand what they are looking for. And then super easy, ask before or after class. When they're dropping off or picking up their children from your Sunday school class, ask them, hey, what do you want to see? Is there anything that I can do that would help you foster your relationship in Christ with your children? Is there anything I can give you that would help you with that? Sometimes that's actually going to be the best way, is to just go one-on-one with the parents and directly ask them. So all sorts of different options there in different ways, but listening is going to be extremely important, again, because you're going to figure out what is going to help these parents in the best way so that their children and your students can better grow in their faith. So the next thing that we're going to talk about, which kind of goes along with this, is communicating. Communication has changed quite a bit, as you know, over the years. And that's why I think it's extremely important to discuss this. What's great about all of our different ways to communicate this, though, these days, is that it can be instantaneous and it can be almost any time. And I think that's fantastic, because what that helps us do is to keep Sunday school and keep the faith as top of the mind for the parents. Instead of only seeing and hearing about it on Sundays after school or after church, it's communication can really help them to bring what they're seeing and learning in Sunday school to their everyday weekly lives. So what are ways that we can do this to communicate? One is going to be very techy, if you would say it that way, is going to be create a social media page. There are so many groups out there these days. I know that I'm in a lot of them myself. a lot of parent groups and things like that, which can be extremely helpful for us parents. But I recommend creating a social media page for your Sunday school. It doesn't necessarily have to be for your Sunday school class itself, but it actually can be for the entire school. It just really kind of depends on what your school is and the dynamics of that. If it's a really small school, it's definitely a great thing just to have one page for everyone. If it's a much bigger school, it might be something that you want to have a page for each kind of grade level or class that you have. But again, they're super easy to create, especially on Facebook groups. What's great about these though is you can make them so fun and entertaining for everyone. You can add pictures. Who doesn't want to see their children in pictures? Guilty. I know I love seeing my son in any picture possible, especially if it's going to be on social media. So if you're snapping pictures, throughout your lessons, it's just something nice that you can add to these social media pages. And guess what? The parents can go on there anytime they want. It's not something that they have to go to right when you do it. It's something that they can visit, once or twice a week, or once a day if they really want to, just kind of whatever is going to fit for them. Something else that I love about social media is a great way to share information. Again, you can share this information out there, and these parents can go on there and look at it at their leisure, at their own time. So you can post articles, blogs of interest. There's so much information out there that can help parents foster their relationship with Christ with their children. And say you come across a fun article and you want to share it with your parents. Great, post it on social media and they can go ahead and look at that at any time. It's also a great way for parents to ask you questions, you as the educator or as the leader. It's kind of a low risk, I guess I should say, way for someone to ask a question out there for you. But sometimes these are important questions that they want to ask, and maybe they just don't want to do it in person, or maybe they're thinking about it, at 11 p.m. at night. But they can just go on there, jump on, ask their question, and you can answer them back whenever you get a chance. So great way for parents to ask questions, and a great way for parents to connect with one another. That's something also that I love about creating this social media page, is that not only are you connecting with your parents so that they can see what's going on in class and what their kids are doing and everything like that, but it can actually connect parents so that they can, discuss ideas and concerns, that they may have just in general with teaching their faith to their children. So it's such a great way for everyone to connect, again, in kind of a easy, fast, and fun environment. So create a social media page, highly recommend it, and share it with your families. Another thing you can do is email. Again, we're in that day and age where everyone wants to see an email, and it's kind of the easiest, quickest way to communicate to a large group of people. So I kind of recommend, sending something weekly or monthly. It can be a super simple email summary, just saying, hey, parents, just wanted to give you a heads up. This is what we did today in class. This is what we learned. These are the questions I heard. It's just a nice way to keep your parents informed on what's going on in their Sunday school class. Again, you could add pictures of your students just to kind of make it a little more fun. And of course, again, linking to any kind of article or blog post that the kids that the parents are going to enjoy. So sending out an email, again, is a great way to communicate with parents. It's easy, it's fast, and it gets a lot of people all at once. You could definitely also create a newsletter. If you have the time and the energy, it's a super fun way to keeping parents engaged. There are so many templates online that you can do these days. I know Canva, C-A-N-V-A, it's a great place to easily create or they have some templates for free, so you can easily create some newsletters. And again, this could include an overview of what you've got going on for the next couple of weeks. It can include, what you've done in the past, some questions that you might want to put on there to spark some interest and engage your parents a little bit more so that they're thinking about questions that they can ask their children throughout the week. And It could be something that you print out and actually hand to them, once a month, once a quarter, again, whatever kind of fits into your schedule and what's going to work best for your group of people. Or again, you can actually post this on your social media page. You can send it through an email. Again, what's great about a lot of these ways to communicate is they kind of all can intertwine, which I think is really exciting too, because not everyone's going to just want the social media or just want that email. They may want different ways. And so you can kind of actually combine all of these into a way to help engage your parents by hitting every means that you can of communicating. Text message. Might seem a little odd to text message your students' parents, but to be honest, my husband is actually a day school teacher for a public school, and he gets text quite often from parents. It's a fast, easy way for parents to put down their thoughts as they're thinking of them, and they can just send it off, and then you can get back to them. What I like about the text messaging too is, again, after class that day, you can either send a text just to one parent. Hey, I noticed today Susie looked like she had some questions about this. Maybe something that you want to talk with her further about. Very simple, very easy, very fast, but an effective way to reach parents. But you can also do mass text messages where you can actually send, multiple people at one time. Hey, just wanted to give an update to everyone. Here's some cute pictures that we had. This is what we learned this week. Again, just trying to keep these parents engaged to let them know what's going on in your Sunday school. All right, so just want to make sure we are still doing good here. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Fantastic. I don't see any questions yet. Great. All right, so let's go on to the next. Let's talk about preparing. This is not preparing you. This is not you preparing for your class, for your students. This is preparing our families, our parents, for what's going to be happening in Sunday school. This is really important for a couple of reasons. One, in our society today, we have so many things going on at once. As you probably know, people are coming and going. There are sports that take place on Sundays, you have church, you have family get-togethers, you have vacations and things like that. So it's really nice to be able to give information ahead of time so that your parents can prepare and be ready for what lessons that you have coming up. They may want to rearrange their schedule so that they can be sure that they're hitting certain lessons, especially if they know that it's something that their kids are very interested in, or you want, or they, the parents, want their kids to learn more about. So also though, sorry, I had to get my thoughts together. Also, what's really important though about preparing is that it also gives parents a chance to prepare for what their kids might come back and say to them. I know sometimes parents can seem intimidated, maybe by some of the questions that they're afraid that their kids might ask them about their faith. They may feel like they don't have all the knowledge that they need. Well, if we go ahead and give them the information ahead of time and prepare them for what their students are going to be learning, then they can read up ahead of time. They can go back and read the Bible verses and read all the chapters and things like that so that they can get a better understanding. They can do some research on the internet ahead of time. Really though, it's just going to better prepare the parents for what the students are learning. So when they come back into the home, they can discuss and they can, the kids can ask the questions and they don't have to be afraid. I mean, yes, part of the point of sending students to Sunday school is so that they have your expertise to teach them with all your knowledge. However, we know that it's so important to keep that going throughout the week. So we want to make sure that we're preparing our parents so that they can discuss the faith with their children throughout the week. So giving parents an overview. I think that's the best way to prepare them, is to give them an overview so they know ahead of time. A great way to do this is to give them a calendar of weekly teachings. It might be something that you actually print off a calendar, write in the verses, that you're going to be doing each week, and print copies and give it to your parents. It could be something where You actually on your phone just use your Google Calendar and send out invites or meetings, just to let parents know, what you're doing for the week. That's a great, easy way to do that, especially for tech savvy parents and tech savvy teachers who are looking to do it that way. It could be something where you create a calendar on your Facebook page or on your, social media page. So each week it kind of gives them an overview of, what they have going on. They can go onto that page and see, oh, hey, this is what they're going to be talking about this week. Let me read up on that. So doing a calendar of weekly teachings. Something that I think is really cool is adding it to the weekly bulletins. So you can do this one of two ways also. It could be a precursor. So this Sunday you put in what you're going to be doing next Sunday, or it could be, what you're actually going to be teaching for that Sunday. Unfortunately, that doesn't give parents a ton of time to prepare. But it does give them the information. So while the kids are in class, that they might be able to sit there and at least read the story ahead of time. What I also love about adding it, to your bulletins or to your information page, whatever it may be that your church has. What's great about this is that it also engages the whole congregation. And I think that's extremely important to really unify the church and rally everyone around the kids and what they're learning, because as we all know, it's so important to foster the faith in these children and to grow that faith so that they in turn can grow the faith with their children and their friends and everyone else. So I think it's great to involve the entire congregation, and this kind of gives them just a little brief overview of, what they have going on or what is going on in your Sunday school. Something I just want to mention is that in our new Enduring Faith curriculum that we just came out with here at Concordia Publishing House, it's called Enduring Faith. We have a digital content center with some fun little bonus things on there. And one of those things that we have on there is actually a unit overview of the lessons. So it's either a PDF or a Word document that's actually going to have a little overview of everything that's going to be talked about week by week by week. What's great about this is you could actually just print out that sheet, give it to your parents. You could take that information, send an email out, post it on social media, put it in your bulletins. What's nice is that it's already done for you, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So just a little something I wanted to mention there. But again, giving parents an overview so that they can better prepare for what their students are learning, so that they can bring it back and talk about it throughout the week is really important when we're trying to engage our parents with their faith or with their students' faith, child's faith. Teach, that's going to be the next thing we're going to talk about. And again, this isn't teaching or you teaching the children. This is teaching the parents. So what we want to do is we want to better equip our parents in our churches to discover or to talk about the faith with their children. And this can be done in several different ways. But again, sometimes parents may feel overwhelmed that they don't know the things, they don't feel confident in their faith maybe, or in their knowledge that they have. So teaching them just some little different things is going to help them so that they can feel confident in discussing and talking with their kids so that they can deepen their faith with Jesus. So what are ways we can do this? Well, I recommend offering a class or a seminar. Again, this doesn't necessarily have to be actually just a class or a seminar. It could just be a parents' night, but some different topics that might be fun to talk about: how to answer tough questions. We know kids, especially the little ones, they like to ask the tough questions of us that sometimes we're not prepared to answer. So that might be a great topic that I think a lot of parents would be interested in. I know I would, is how to answer those tough questions when your children are asking them. Again, how to talk with your kids about religion. Pretty generic and general overview, but it's something that I think is extremely important. And I bet you would have a lot of parents that would be interested in going to a, seminar class to learn a little more about that. How to encourage your kids to explore their faith. Again, these are such great topics, and I'm actually going to try to host some webinars on these as well myself. So these might be great for you to take away as well, and I'll keep you all informed, of course. But anyway, with all of these, these certain topics, it might be something that you actually want to talk about with your parents. It might be a seminar that you want to hold, or it might be something where someone in your community is has that knowledge and expertise that they can talk on these questions, or they can talk on these topics. Maybe you have a college in your town that has some professors that would be great to talk about this. You pull your resources from your community. It's a great way for people to get together, and a great way for parents to get together to learn more, so that they can be more engaged in their children's faith and with their Sunday school. What I love about this idea also is it doesn't just have to be a class or a seminar. Maybe you have a certain topic that you're going to talk about, but maybe it's just a way for parents to connect with one another and bounce ideas off of each other. Sometimes I think it's important for parents just to get together and, put out their grievances, and put out their concerns, and put out their loves and their likes and their worries. Something like that, I know I would absolutely enjoy, and it's always nice to have parents around that kind of understand, or are in the same situation, or in that same faith, and are looking for different ways and ideas and tips to get together. Something, to think about too, if you are hosting something like this, which I think is great, maybe offering some babysitting. That way, the kids can kind of go off and play together, and then the parents can kind of sit and have this nice talk by themselves and not really have to worry about the kids. So again, just something little to explore, but I know that was actually something a long time ago now, when I was in Sunday school, that they did. And I remember as a child going and sitting and playing with my friends while the parents went and learned and discussed some things themselves. So, but again, something else that you might want to do though is offer a webinar. This could be something that you are doing. So instead of having a parents' night, in your church or at a community center or something like that, maybe it's something where you sit at your office at home and you just kind of discuss some of these topics that they might have. You can make it where it's interactive, where everyone can kind of talk back and forth, or you can just kind of give some information, but offer a webinar. What's nice about that is you can record them, post them later onto your social media, send out emails on church things, just talk about them. And so it's nice because parents can go back later and kind of view them at their leisure. Again, it might be offering a webinar that someone else is hosting. Again, I might be doing that. So it might be something that you've found online, and just offering these things to these parents so that they can learn how to better prepare themselves to talk about Jesus with their children. I think it's important to make sure that we are best preparing our parents for these discussions. All right. Next, we're going to talk about participating. And this one I think is the most fun, the most interactive, and sometimes I think it can actually give some of the best information to our parents, because they're going to actually see things from their own view, in their own perspective, and in real time. So what does this mean? Well, my ideas are hosting a field trip or a family day. Super fun. Let's talk about family days. This could be just something that you do in your church, where you invite your parents to join the Sunday school class for a day. It might be something you do once or twice a year. But again, just kind of asking your parents to come into the classroom and either sit back from afar and just watch as you teach and your kids interact and their kids interact with you. Or it could be something where you actually have them jump in and get involved and help their kids with their crafts, help them, with their reading. Maybe they start off the prayer and are really engaging in that class for the day. What I think is really important about this family days and this field trips, is that it really gives parents a chance to see how their kids are learning and interacting, and maybe it gives them a chance to see what questions that they can see that their kids have. I know for me as a parent myself, this is something I would love to do. My little guy is still a little too young for this, but as he gets a little older, I would love to be able to sit in class so I can actually see how he interacts. This gives me a better understanding of how I can take it back at home and how I can maybe teach him at home, seeing the way that he is interacting at school. I just think it's extremely important, and I think it's fun for the students as well. They get to bring their mom and dad in, kind of as show and tell almost, and they get to sit there and interact and learn about Jesus together in a fun setting. I think this is a super great way to get your parents engaged and really to get them thinking about, what it is that their students are doing and seeing on a daily basis. Let's talk about a family field trip. I never did this growing up. Never went on a field trip with Sunday school. Now, obviously had with regular day school, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that as well. But doing a family field trip with your Sunday school, why not? What's great about this is not only does it get the whole family together, the parents, the kids, the teachers, the pastor, invite anyone, to be honest. You can invite your entire congregation if you want. So it really kind of gets everyone together. But what's great is it gets people out and it gets them exploring into the real world. So it kind of brings Jesus into the real world around them. And I love that. I think that's so important that we take Jesus and bring them into our everyday lives. So what could this mean? This could mean just visiting a park, even just taking everyone to the park down the street. Everyone sits and has a little picnic, and you do your lesson for the day. It could be that you go to a museum or a family destination that connects with the lesson. Something that comes to mind is going to the zoo. We have a fantastic zoo here in St. Louis. And what I thought about, which would be so much fun, especially for the little ones, is going to the zoo and talking about Noah's Ark. Love it. Again, it's kind of just bringing that story that these kids are seeing and learning about and reading and kind of bringing it into everyday life here today. Again, though, it could be a museum or something like that you go to that has some kind of history museum, art museum. There's so many different field trips you could do. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. But again, I think it's great because it can really get the whole family involved, gets everyone out of their element, and again, gets parents a chance to see their kids interact with the other students, interact with the teachers, see how they actually interact and how they respond to some of the questions that they're asked, some of the stories that they've heard. I love this participate point. I think it's extremely important. I think it's fun. And I love it. Also, a little something I wanted to mention too is for these family field trips, what I think is awesome is that in our Enduring Faith curriculum, every different age level is learning the same thing every single week. So there's one Bible verse that is spread out or that everyone is using for elementary, youth, adult, even all throughout. They're all learning that same verse that week. So it makes it really easy to host a day like this, a family field trip, a family day in the classroom. So that is the information I have for you today. So just want to get you a little recap here though. So first of all, what we want to do to help engage our parents, because we know how important it is to not only have them bring their students to Sunday school, but to actually take what the kids are learning in Sunday school and spread it throughout the week. So the first thing we want to do is listen. We want to listen to what our parents are looking for. We want to listen to how our parents want to communicate. We just want to listen to them and see what their needs are, because if we know that, we can better equip them to teach their students on a daily basis. Again, communicate. Part of listening. Then we got to communicate. What's the best way that your parents want to communicate? What are some ways that you can easily communicate with a lot of people at once? What are some fun ways to communicate? Social media, texting, emails, face-to-face, Never can go wrong with face-to-face. I think that's still extremely important, even in today's society, is to do that face-to-face, once a week. Hey, Mrs. Smith, I hope everything's going well, even if it's just as simple as that. Preparing, again, very important, to make sure that we are preparing our parents so that they can know what's going to go on ahead of time, they can plan, they can study, they can read. I think this is an important piece so that the parents can feel a little more confident in teaching and exploring their faith with their children. So preparing is important. Teaching kind of goes along with preparing. Again, there's so many different ways that you can do these teachings. You could do, again, a webinar, something like I'm doing right now. You could even, just like I said before, send some blog posts just to kind of help parents. They can look at it at their own time. Hosting a seminar or class, or just a parents' night, kind of, so that can all bounce ideas off each other. And lastly, participate. So much fun getting the parents in there, getting them to participate. It's really fun for the entire family, and I think it's extremely important, again, so that the parents can really get a good understanding of their own students, their own children in that aspect of Sunday school, because it may be completely different from how they are at home, or it may be completely different from how they are at day school as well. So with all that, a couple of things. One, I encourage you, if you have not already, to connect with us on Facebook. This is a Sunday school teachers Facebook group. So something I kind of talked about before is a Facebook group. So we have one for Sunday school teachers. It's a great place just to kind of get together, to connect, ask questions. I like to post, again, some, different ideas and blog posts and things like that. Sometimes it's just inspirational quotes that we find, whatever it may be. Great place to connect, though, not only with people like me who are kind of working with the curriculum, but also with each other, as Sunday school teachers, as pastors, as DCEs, as volunteers, as whatever it may be. I think it's a great place for everyone to get together. So if you just search Sunday School on Facebook, and then you kind of find this little logo over here, you should be able to connect with us there. And then I also wanted to give out my contact information. Again, my name is Stephanie D. Donato. I'm marketing here at Concordia, and that is my phone number and email address, which is stephanie.ddonato, DIDONATO @cph.org. And I'm going to see if I have any questions, and if not, please feel free to email me, reach out, call me. We are here to help, and I want to make sure that we are helpful. And it doesn't look like we have any questions, so I just want to thank you so much for coming today. I hope maybe you got at least a little bit of good information out here today. And yeah. I guess that's it. All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday.